slideshow, I think.
I apologize. I just started recording the meeting.
That's okay. Continue. So just bear with me for a second. Oh, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. Are you
Okay,
able
one
to?
second. Let me see about, let's see.
Now you
That
know
little
how
box
to
you click on the screen share that says allow multiple participants to share.
Okay, that hasn't come up for me just yet. Oh, let me go to, I'm sorry, go to screen share. Optimize share for sound, advanced files. I'm sorry, I'm not seeing a spot that says that, but let me see if I can get just on Rachel's waiting room. Okay. Good thing I started recording right as the flew into the side of the mountain. Okay, so if I go onto her name and I go to more, okay, Rachel, I just made you the host for the
Okay.
meeting. See if that allows you to do that.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
No problem. Can you guys see my screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I make that small. Okay. So Gabe already did this a little bit, but I'm going to share a little bit of overview of what the Farm Stop is, and then dive into some more background of where the project came from. And I will try not to talk too much about it, so you have time to ask questions. But the Rose Hill Farm Stop is a farmer-owned local foods market and cafe here in Bloomington. We carry a wide variety of locally grown and artisan-made products, including a lot of fresh ecological produce, grass-fed meats and dairy products, eggs, artisan baked goods, sauces, honey, soap, flower bouquets, plants, basically anything that you can grow and raise or make from farm products. We also have a full cafe with espresso from Brown County Coffee, herbal and green teas from local tea vendors, croissants from Muddy Fork Bakery, breads from Cezanne, a lot of yummy things if you're looking for a place to hang out and just enjoy coffee or do some studying or have a meeting. And we are located in the old Morrison's Appliance Building on West Kirkwood Avenue. We're open every day from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And to give a little bit more background about what a farm stop is generally, just so everybody knows, this model is a concept we've borrowed from actually the Argus Farm Stop in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And they got the idea from a place called Local Roots in Wooster, Ohio. There's a couple other stores around the country that I'll mention later that operate with this similar model. And the idea is really just a local only grocery store that sort of acts like an everyday year-round farmer's market based on a consignment model. So all the vendors own the food that's on the shelves and they pick their own pricing. And then there's staff that are hired to do the stocking, put out signage so it's clear which vendor each product comes from, and then they check out the customers. And then in exchange, vendors keep 70 to 75% of the product price for everything that's purchased. And the farm stop keeps 25 to 30% to, pay the rent and the staff and utilities and things like that. And then a coffee shop or a tavern subsidizes the store operation so that the vendors can be paid a better return than they could get from a traditional grocery store. And then the cafe area can also serve as a community building space. And for comparison, selling to a mainstream grocery like Kroger or Walmart, most farmers selling through those outlets, first you'd have to be a really very big farmer or farm operation. And you probably would get about 15 cents return for every dollar spent in that grocery, compared with in the farm stop model, the vendor gets 70 to 75% of every dollar. So it's a much better deal for the growers. So just a little bit of background about myself, because I think that's always helpful to provide a personal context. So I'm actually a farmer. I've been growing vegetables for about 12 years now, and most of that was managing farms for nonprofits or universities around Michigan and Indiana. But about in 2016, I got married, and my husband and I decided to settle down on the land where I grew up, actually here in Monroe County. And we started a vegetable operation selling certified organic plants and fall veggies through the Bloomington Farmers Market, and a little bit through Blooming Foods and the Deep Roots Garden Center. Here's a photo of our one of our fields last year. So I really love the work of farming. It has connected me more deeply to this beautiful land where I grew up. Monroe County has some really beautiful rural spaces, and I was fortunate enough to grow up in a place that had a lot of, forest and field to explore. But growing up, I observed a lot of encroachment from development, a lot of disconnect from food and knowing where our food comes from. And becoming a farmer has really helped me to see the value of farming and food production for the future of our planet, both in terms of ecology and the health of people and communities. But in spite of all the beautiful things that come from agriculture, we currently have a industrial food system that relies on a lot of transport and exploitation of people and the natural world. And so I've been really inspired by the local food movement and figuring out ways to bring local food production more closely to the community where it's being grown. The challenge is that our system is currently set up for this industrial complex, and there are not a lot of ways for small growers in a community to sell food directly to their neighbors other than farmers markets. And it's really hard to make a living just selling at a farmer's market on a Saturday morning for 4 or 5 hours. So back in 2019, I heard about a job opportunity through the city of Bloomington. They had become a partner in a USDA local food promotion program grant as part of their sustainability action plan. And the goal was to look at ways to improve supply chains to better connect local farms and institutions that buy food in Monroe County. And I was hired to work in this temporary grant-funded role along with some other partners around the state of Indiana. And the first thing I worked on was a local foods needs assessment. I contacted hundreds of food buyers in the community, places like, IU Health, the Monroe County schools, local restaurants, Blooming Foods, grocery stores, IU Dining, all those kinds of places that buy a lot of food and serve it to people in our community. And I also contacted every farm that I knew of and could find contact info for in Monroe and surrounding counties, and interviewed anybody who would talk to me, basically. And the key takeaways were basically, as I sort of expressed a little bit ago, our local food system lacks a lot of basic infrastructure. The needs of the farmers in our community that are mostly really small farms, they don't align with these institutional food buyers that are bigger entities and need, really easy ordering and delivery processes and cheap prices and year-round availability and things like that. But there were a lot of buyers interested in sourcing more local product, and also a lot of farms that wanted more sales outlets. And farmers in particular were interested in a way to aggregate together so that they could sell their food collectively through some sort of food hub or something like that. Along with this needs assessment, I did a lot of research about food and food spending in our community, and really interesting, learned that there's over $800 million spent on food in Monroe County alone every year, but less than 1% of that is going to farms in our region. And there's some data here. It applies at the state level as well as the county specifically. And in the past 70 years, we have lost 86% of the food farms that were here at one time in Monroe County. So we're slowly losing the ability to feed ourselves as a community, and we're importing the vast majority of what we're eating from faraway places. And then I mentioned this earlier, but also in my research came across this information about how in our traditional mainstream food supply system, less than 15 cents of every dollar spent on food is actually going to farmers. Most of it is going to the marketing and distribution of the food in our mainstream food system. So the question was, how do we grow the local food economy and sort of change these dynamics slowly but surely, especially when the local food options are limited to farmers markets, CSAs, roadside stands, things like that. And I talked to a lot of other communities around the country, similar to Bloomington, university towns in the Midwest and on the East Coast. And this farm stop model came up as a concept that's been successful in other communities around the country in increasing the amount of food that is spent by consumers on locally grown foods, and also increasing the number of farms and farmers in the community. And in particular, I actually used to run a farm in Ann Arbor. And a friend of mine from there connected me with the Argus Farm Stop, which is a really very successful farm stop there in Ann Arbor. I mentioned they were inspired by the local roots in Worcester, Ohio. They now, I think they've been around since 2014, and they currently work with over 200 farms, have a waiting list of vendors who want to be selling through their 2 locations. And they're currently selling millions of dollars of local food every year, and it's growing year after year. Here's a couple photos of what some of their stores look like. They're really small, but packed with a wide variety of products. And it's all, again, grown by farmers in their community. It's very seasonal. This is a photo from January, so you can see even in January in Michigan, they have plenty of food available. And they have a lot of prepared foods and artisan-made foods made with local ingredients. Here's some of the other farm stops. There's the Wild Ramp in West Virginia. There's another one in Michigan called Agricole. And actually, we have one that started before Rose Hill here in Monroe County, the Bethel Lane Farm Stop, that operates more like a roadside stand, but with the same consignment model and cooperation of farmers. So in 2020, as part of my grant work with the city, I organized a group of farmers, food system advocates, and Blooming Foods board and staff members to go do a training at the Argus Farm Stop. We spent 3 days there. We learned all about how they got started, how they operate. Their staff are just so open and willing to share and wanting to help other communities implement this model. And our group came back really inspired and spent most of last year fundraising and figuring out how to, make something like this happen. And the group legally incorporated as a nonprofit agricultural cooperative in December of 2020 with the mission to support small local farms by providing a vibrant and welcoming retail space owned by a cooperative of Indiana growers, connecting the Bloomington community with the transparently sourced healthful food. And then we leased the building at 902 West Kirkwood Avenue. This is what it used to look like back when it was Morrison's Appliance Store. And the goal was, have this neighborhood market with the wide range of farm and artisan foods. We wanted to have a plant nursery as well, because we have a lot of farmers in our community that sell annual and perennial starts to gardeners. We decided to have a cafe. And then we wanted to incorporate an online aggregation hub to figure out a way, in addition to the grocery, to help restaurants and other stores and cafeterias to be able to buy from all of our farmers in a centralized online platform. So we opened August 5th of this year after a huge amount of work renovating the building and organizing the cooperative and getting all of our farmers and food artisans to join. There was a core group of 5 farms that were on our board of directors, and we now have 41 farms and food artisan vendors that are part of our group. We got a lot of grant funding from the City of Bloomington, the Community Foundation, and the Bloomington Urban Enterprise Association to help with the costs of renovating the building. We've also had investment from our farm members and an equipment loan from a cooperative bank called CoBank. And this is our outdoor garden patio, I think at the beginning of August. And I apologize, I have been so busy in the store the past couple of months that I haven't taken a lot of good pictures of the interior, but I have a lot of photos of our products. So I mentioned, we have probably the best selection of grass-fed, pasture-based meats in town: pork, beef, chicken, rabbit, bison, and we have produce that's changing every day. Tomato season, unfortunately, is winding down, but we've got a lot of other good stuff. We have things like eggs and cheese and sauerkraut, different kinds of teas, artisan breads, some more of our meat vendors, soaps, candles, tinctures, honey, lots and lots of produce variety, flowers, fruit. These are some photos of the empty boxes that vendors pick up when they are, after they have made a delivery, they pick up their empties from the last time. So we're in our future plans. We've just sort of in process of getting our feet under us and trying to get stabilized as a new business after just 2 months of being open. We're in the process of setting up this online food hub. It should hopefully be launching, early this winter. We have gotten a donation from the Farm to Family Fund so that we can offer a SNAP matching program where SNAP or food stamp users can come into the store every day and basically double their SNAP benefits. It's my timer to remind me to stop talking. To double their SNAP benefits and buy local food. And then next week, we're starting an after-school program with the Banneker Center, again in partnership with the Farm to Family Fund, where Farm to Family will be purchasing food from the Roseville Farm Stop to feed to the kids in the Fairview and Banneker after-school programs, so they have a healthy snack before they go home. And in future, hopefully once we are wildly successful, we'll be able to offer professional development opportunities for farmers. We like the idea of having mobile farmers markets to increase food access for local products. We're hoping to launch a farm to school program next year where there will be some field trips for elementary kids and then taste tests or local food in some of their lunch meals. And maybe eventually business grants to help beginning farmers expand production or improve ecological practices in our community. And maybe in the future, like they have in Ann Arbor, we'd like to have additional farm stop locations around Bloomington. Really, overall, the goal is how can we benefit farms, help empower them, help them make a better livelihood, and then also make this really wonderful food that is grown in an ecological way and that is very healthy, more available to our community. We are having an open house, grand opening party on Sunday, October 24th from noon to 6 p.m. There'll be food trucks and music and all kinds of fun activities. So we hope all of you can join us for that event. I think that's it. What questions do you guys have?
Rachel, give me just 1 second. I'm going to reclaim ownership of the
I can stop
screen.
sharing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. It gives me the option to, where did it go? Reclaim host. Okay. It is back to me. And we'll see how we manage questions here. I know I can start by asking. First, I wanted to confirm, did you say that SNAP programs has essentially a 2-to-1 spending power with you?
They will. So we have to get a final approval from the USDA to accept SNAP. We've submitted the application, but because we're a store, they have to come and do an inspection. And we're just waiting for them to do that. So once we have the inspection done and we get the approval from the USDA that runs the SNAP, it's a federal program. then any SNAP user could come to our store, and if they want to buy $30 worth of product, they would spend $15 of their SNAP benefits, and then our donor through the Farm to Family Fund would pay the other $15. So they get basically twice as much food they double their dollars basically when they shop. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
wonderful. And so my other question, given your position with the city, which doesn't always have the greatest reputation as far as launching a business and a new building off the ground, what have the challenges been, or has it been made easier by your position, or how has that experience been?
That is a very interesting question. So most of the work to start the business has been done by this group of farmers. They legally incorporated, they have been recruiting membership and doing the work to build their cooperative, and then on a volunteer basis exclusively, they facilitated the renovation of this building. They hired concrete guys and electricians and things like that. But that kind of nitty gritty work was really done by the farmers themselves. And I've just provided facilitation support as much as possible. The city, their primary role has just been to provide this grant funding, and then the initial commitment to the USDA project that has paid for my time. But otherwise, the city hasn't really been involved directly.
Okay, great.
But it has definitely been a huge amount of work and really a very complicated, hard thing to do, for sure. I don't know if that answers.
Well, that's perfect. No, and again, there's a number of the people involved on our side of things are either small business owners or large business owners, and have all had interactions with trying to start something in the community. And was there a grease trap? If I say the word grease trap, a whole bunch of people are going to groan. But I'm curious to know if you had to add a grease trap or if it was already in place.
We had to add one, and actually the group leased the building with the intention of only using part of it. There's what we call the West Wing that we're still trying to sublet. But we didn't know, the group did not know when the building lease was signed that having a subletter would trigger this multi-tenant clause with the city, where you have to do some potential exterior improvements, and the other tenant would have to have their own grease trap as well. You can't have two users in the same building share the same grease trap. So that's really limited the pool of potential subletters.
Yeah.
Yes. Frustrating.
Well, I knew there was going to be something. Interesting. Brian, I see Brian has a question.
Yeah, I'm just curious what you and or the farmers do with food waste. I mean, I know that different grocery stores and different things like that have different ways that they handle food as it expires, but also grocery stores may have a higher standard and don't want to deal with damaged food, whereas locals may actually work with damaged food. So how does that all work with Rosehill?
That's a good question. So most of the food being delivered to our store is much fresher than anything you would get at Kroger or Walmart. The farmers often just harvested it that day. So we've actually had very little food waste. But whatever we do have, things that get blemished or aren't retail quality anymore, currently we're donating to Community Kitchen. We are also in the process of setting up a shared use kitchen that farmers can use, or new food artisan businesses, to basically transform that kind of seconds quality product into a value added item like salsa or jam or something like that, that is more shelf stable, that we could then sell in the store. And that's also related to all of that city grease trap building inspection stuff. We're in the process of getting that space inspected before it can open, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. Oh, I think you're still muted, or they're saying goodbye.
Yeah, he's saying goodbye. Have fun. So I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. So we don't live very far from the farm stop, and I was just there yesterday, been there several times. Love the concept. I love the quality of things. I had, for the first time this year, I had ox heart tomatoes, and they were the most amazing tomatoes I've had in my entire life. And I bought the last 2 yesterday because we're at the end of tomato season. But the other thing, like yesterday, my son and I were there, and there were pawpaws. I've lived in Indiana my whole life and I've never eaten a pawpaw. So we got pawpaws, and today we're making pawpaw and banana bread. But I love the whole concept. I have always been a huge farmers market supporter. And it was just a every Saturday thing. And the political upheaval that happened with the city farmers market a couple years ago, I just got so angry at everybody. I just stopped going because I was just frustrated with everybody involved in the situation. So I'd been driving to Unionville to the other farm stop and hitting some honors market stands and things. So I love having it in the community. I love having it in the community. I love having it in that neighborhood. And I think it's fabulous. I'm there once a week at least.
Well, thank you. Yeah. A huge part of it is, a lot of people can't go to market on Saturday. It doesn't fit with their schedule or their lifestyle. And this makes it more convenient for the average person to still buy that same kind of quality product just whenever fits with their schedule. So I'm glad you like it. Any other questions? I think you're muted.
Gabe, you're muted. Caleb and I did discuss purchasing a whole rabbit yesterday, but we weren't quite sure what we would do with it.
Yeah,
I love rabbit, but I've never prepared it.
It's
So
new.
we were like, do
Sure.
we not? We're like, pawpaws probably as much as we get today, but
So did I hear you say that you have a community space or the potential for a community space?
We have a cafe area with tables and chairs. It can host I think there's room for like 30 or 35 people in there. Yeah, so we've had a couple clubs have meetings there. And I know it's weird during COVID, not everybody is meeting in person. But we do have that space available.
As a club, we're experiencing that right now, and it's nice to know that the farm stop might be an option.
Absolutely.
We can talk about that maybe a little bit more. If I were going to include in an announcement the date that you mentioned for your grand opening, that was October 24th between noon and 6.
Yes, I can send the flyer to you.
That'd be great. That would
Yeah.
be great. So.
And we are hoping in the near future to have regular sort of programs and events in the store related to food and farming and that kind of thing to help build awareness and highlight our vendors and that kind of thing. But it's been hard to do with the pandemic still going on. And just opening, has been a lot for our staff to get adjusted to.
No doubt. Okay, well, anything else from anybody else? Okay, I think we've covered all our bases, and I'm gonna conclude here and find out how the annex team did. Hopefully we came through clean for them. And thank you so much for your patience and for participating in this.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, it's my
Thank
pleasure,
you.
guys. Thank you all so much for your interest, and hopefully we'll see you at the Roseville Farm Stop someday soon.
Yeah.
You're
Thank
all
you.
invited.
Good
Thank you
presentation.
so much. Take care.
All right.
I'll just go ahead and hop off and send you that flyer, Gabe.
That would be great. Okay, people are dropping like flies. Joe, I was just going to say, I was going to repeat that I'll send you all the login information for this, and we've got the IU basketball, women's IU basketball coach for next week, and I'll let you handle introductions today. I'm just feeling some stuff out as you can see. So I appreciate your patience on that. And yeah, we'll go from there.
All right, thank you.
All right.